And a massive scoop from the CWC meet. In fact, we have details coming in of the offer of resignation coming in. From Sonia Gandhi on her leadership. That's the information coming in of what transpired inside. So, offer of resignation coming in from the Gandhis, and that offer, of course, later faith in Sonia Gandhi's leadership being expressed by certain members of the Congress party. That's the information coming in at this point of time.
According to the senior observer of the party in the respective state, went wrong. Where does the party need to be strengthened? What is it that needs to be set right? And what, according to them, should be the course corrections for the future in those particular states? Many former general secretaries, for example, the former general secretary in charge of UP, Shri Ghulam Nabi Azad, Shri Digvijay Singh, many of them also chipped in with their suggestions, also gave out their own experiences of when they had failed in those respective states. So it was a healthy, free and frank discussion.
Yes, sir, इस मीटिंग की शुरू होने से पहले राजस्थान के सीएम अशोक गहलोत जी ने भी बयान दिया कि राहुल गांधी जी को अध्यक्ष पद ले लेना चाहिए और वो सबसे मुखी चेहरा भी हैं। तो क्या मीटिंग के अंदर राहुल गांधी जी के अध्यक्ष बनने के मसले के ऊपर किसी सदस्य ने अपने विचार रखे?
देखिए, क्योंकि संगठनात्मक चुनाव इस समय चल रहा है और आदरणीय महासचिव संगठन कई बार बता चुके कि वो 20 अगस्त जो है कांग्रेस अध्यक्ष के चुनाव की तिथि निश्चित है, और मैं एक से अधिक बार आपको ये बात कह चुका कि कांग्रेस का हर कार्यकर्ता और हर नेता ये चाहता है कि श्री राहुल गांधी आगे बढ़कर कांग्रेस का नेतृत्व करें, पर कांग्रेस का संगठनात्मक चुनाव है। संगठनात्मक चुनाव के माध्यम से ही अगले कांग्रेस अध्यक्ष का निर्णय होगा। यस सर।
सवाल ये है कि पिछली बार जब चुनाव कांग्रेस हारी थी तब एक समिति गठित की गई थी अशोक चौहान पर, क्या उसको लेकर कोई चर्चा हुई है? एक और दूसरा सवाल ये है कि ये 5 राज्यों को लेकर कोई समिति गठित करी गई है?
आदरणीय मित्र, बहुत सारे, जैसा मैंने कहा, विस्तृत चर्चा 5 घंटे तक इन 5 राज्यों पर हुई। सारी रिपोर्ट्स कांग्रेस कार्य समिति के सामने ही रख दी गई, न केवल प्रभारी महोदय द्वारा बल्कि जो इंचार्ज एआईसीसी ऑब्जर्वर्स हैं उनके द्वारा भी, और महासचिव संगठन जिनको डे टू डे का वहां का तजर्बा है उनके द्वारा भी। तो इसलिए अब उसमें और ज्यादा जो चर्चा करके हमने निष्कर्ष निकाला है वो निष्कर्ष आपके सामने।
Request Sonia Ji to continue as Congress president and to keep on leading the party from the front.
Sir, has she agreed to the request, sir? Has she agreed?
Obviously, she agreed, sir.
All right, so those are updates coming in. In fact, members urging Sonia Gandhi to continue as the president. That's the word coming in from Rajiv Shukla. Several leaders of the Congress also coming out and speaking following that particular meeting. Let's take this across to our guest joining us. We have with us Sanjay Jha, author. Also with us is Lokesh Jindal, leader of the Congress. Shekhar Iyer is with us. He's a senior journalist. Sanjay Jha, is this exactly what you expected to play out in terms of a script? Sonia Gandhi and the other Gandhis offering to step down, and Congress leaders saying, no, please continue. We want you to continue. Was it ultimately much ado about nothing?
Madhav, haven't we gone through the same storyboard at least a dozen times in the last couple of years? I mean, the inability of the Congress party to see the writing on the wall is actually not a surprise. You see, to see the writing on the wall, you got to keep your eyes open, and then you have to have the intent to read what's written there. What people are doing is they're wearing their glares, they're reading it, but they want to tell you that they don't know what to do. So I think this is an act of pretension. It's an act of self-deception. And in my opinion, the Congress party is committing political harakiri. You know, you can't be losing election after election and coming up with the same, Jurassic Park statement that we will sit and introspect. I mean, can I tell you something? I've been part of this party for a very long time. It has lost in 2014 and 2019 in the Lok Sabha. And even today, not even once has there been a thorough discussion to find out why has the party suffered. But let me put the cat among the pigeons and basically say what I think practically no congressman will tell you, whether current congressman, suspended congressman, or an expelled congressman.
Okay.
The truth is, the Congress party at the moment needs a new leader. Who it is going to be, how they're going to be selected, they can have an election. There are a couple of good candidates around. Many have left us already, of course. But if the Congress party does not change its leadership, it's about time we said goodbye as a mainstream political party.
Well, Randeep Surjewala just told us that there would be a new leader after organizational elections. When are these organizational elections going to happen, Mr. Jindal? We've been hearing about it being postponed on several occasions. These elusive elections, are you going to wait for that? Going to wait for the next election result before you take a call? I mean, what's happening? Where is the urgency within the Congress party to resolve issues, even after such a huge drubbing?
First of all, I would like to point out that the reforms that are being expected, they are with respect to the functioning of the organization. Now, in history also, we have seen that after Gandhi, he had a failed role at Satyagraha. What he did was bringing about organizational reforms within the Congress, thereby bringing about AICC, PCC, and subsequently Mohalla Ward committees. So the point is not with respect to the top helm of leadership, but the nature in which the organization functions. There are certain protocols that are to be brought in, certain appraisals, audits, certain forms of feedbacks, certain forms of efficiency with respect to functioning of individual members. In fact, we certainly support that each and every congressman should be held responsible, should be active on the field.
No, very good. Very good that you're talking about responsibility, sir. But after such a huge drubbing, what about fixing loss for this or taking responsibility for these losses? Where will that accountability be fixed?
There is
the buck stops at the top, Madhav.
Leadership of Priyanka Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi, and Sonia Gandhi. Let me tell you, in the Uttar Pradesh elections, Priyanka Gandhi, she did a wonderful task, 209 rallies.
Did it all convert into winning even a single seat for the Congress party? How many parties, how many seats have they won effectively? My question is this: one can make all the efforts, but ultimately those efforts, if they're not focused, it will not deliver anything for the party, sir.
No, what I intend to say over here is organizational reforms are required. There has to be some form of a protocols set in, some form of a reforms set in, but the party as a whole has full faith and it has complete, you can say, a commitment towards the leadership of the Gandhis.
Okay, I want to bring in Shekhar Iyer. Shekhar Iyer, a very interesting thing that we've seen in this election. One second. Please calm down, sir. I'm going to come back to you. Shekhar Iyer, we saw the Prime Minister, address the gathering at the party headquarters in the evening of these elections that were held on the counting day that was on the 10th. And the very next day, he's been on a roadshow in Ahmedabad and in Gandhinagar. Basically, he's already working for the next Gujarat election. On the other hand, you have a contrasting picture in the Congress party where they're still sitting, analyzing what went wrong in the past election. Changes that have to be brought in are not known. What is the future roadmap is not known. This is a very, very striking picture if we contrast the two.
Well, Madhav, you cannot compare the, BJP and the Congress. And nobody expected anything to happen today because this is the kind of a ritual they go through every time there is bad news. So I entirely agree with Sanjay Ji. We have seen this, and I have covered the Congress party for a long time. During the time of Indira Gandhi, during the time of Rajiv Gandhi, Narasimha Rao, and now you see, at least in those times, there was some amount of introspection, some kind of honesty in the approach. But here, what we are noticing is people at the helm. They are only interested in ensuring that their hold on the party is not loosened. That is why you saw yesterday, reports some balloons being set up that they are offering to resign, then those reports being denied officially by the party. And today again, the most operative part of Rajiv Shukla's response was, of course she accepted the decision, accepted the request of the party to continue. I think that is the most important part. So nobody expected anything to happen. And as far as the internal elections, there were also reports that they would be advanced. They are not even being advanced. They'll be held in August. See, this goes to show that those at the helm and those who are backing them at the helm do not want any change for the simple reason they do not want to lose their position.
Okay. Okay, we'll try and rectify that audio. We'll try and rectify that audio, Sanjay. Sanjay apparently could not hear what Shekhar Iyer is saying. I'm going to ask my technical director to look into that particular matter. But I want to quickly bring in an update. In fact, Ajay Kumar has just spoken to Times Now, and he says that soon there will be a Chintan Shivir. All state presidents will be called. Senior leaders will also join. 200 to 300 people will be there to decide how to fight in coming elections, with setting up an accountability. You cannot hold Rahul Gandhi accountable for every election. If I'm Tripura in charge, I will be responsible if we lose. Has Sonia Gandhi offered a resignation? Everyone knows that question, and the response is that everyone knows that RSS and BJP wants the same. They want to spoil the image of the Congress party and the leadership. We can't fall into that trap. We have full faith in her leadership. Now, these are the responses coming in. Do you think the Chintan Shivir is too little too late, Sanjay Jha?
Well, let me tell you honestly, it's a joke. The fact is that Mrs. Sonia Gandhi had already retired as the Congress president in 2019. 3 years later, the Congress doesn't have a proper president who will be leading in the campaign. I mean, who is the Congress party trying to fool here? I mean, if Mrs. Sonia Gandhi had a huge degree of respect for her, if she was a functioning president, she would have been campaigning, right, in all these 5 elections. She's not doing that. I mean, who's the Congress trying to bluff here? I mean, it's absolutely absurd. And I'll tell you, Madhav, why I'm feeling particularly disappointed is because Congress supporters whom I know write to me saying, what the hell is going on? I mean, how bizarre can this tale become? I mean, what does the Congress want to do? Get 0 Lok Sabha seats, 0 assembly seats, and then say, well, you know, we will have a Chintan Shivir to decide who should be the next Congress president, but we have full faith in whatever is going on. I mean, this is absolutely making a mockery of a party that has won 10 of the 17 general elections and has governed India for 55 years. I think the Karyakartas deserve better. The supporters deserve better. And if the Congress party yet doesn't have the courage of its own conviction to bring changes, I'm telling you, it faces a definite extinction.
All right. Existential question for the Congress party, Lokesh Jindal. That's a concern that's being expressed by Sanjay Jha. And he's saying that why doesn't a formal change happen as far as the leadership is concerned? If Mr. Rahul Gandhi himself, who is virtually calling the shots in the party, every meeting, every state leader, whether it's the change of Captain Amrinder Singh to Sidhu being appointed there, every decision is virtually taken by Mr. Rahul Gandhi. So why not actually sit in the driver's seat?
See, we are always open to some form of a Kamraj plan. So the party is not averse to any form of a organizational reform. And we have seen all these problems not having only the first time. There have been troubles before as well. And the party has been quite resilient. In fact, we have seen...
I have a question for Mr. Jindal.
Sir, what is the resilience, sir, when the party is reduced to 2 states in power?
Madhav, I have a question.
Mr. Jindal, yes, I'm going to come to you. Sanjay, I'm going to come to you in a minute, but I want to ask Mr. Jindal, today the party is perhaps at its lowest ever. Just 2 states where Congress is in power. And you're talking about resilience?
Wait, let me answer. 1969, the Congress underwent a split, and it came out stronger under the leadership of Indira Gandhi. And we saw, despite another split in 1978, still in 1980s, the Congress went stronger and stronger. The major form of a trouble only came up when there was a complete vacuum after death of Rajiv Gandhi. But then we see Sonia Gandhi was able to provide a credible leadership when we saw some form of anarchy taking place when Sitaram Kesari was at the helm of the affairs. And now after Sonia Gandhi, we all believe that it is Rahul Gandhi who is going to provide a credible leadership to the entire Congress party, and the party is going to perform very well. We are very much hopeful that with desired organization...
Sir, hope can take you up to a point, but at the end of the day, there are some basic issues as far as decision making, etc., that need to be sorted out. Sanjay wants to ask you a question quickly. Sanjay Jha, then I go across to Shekhar here.
Yeah. Mr. Jindal, I understand your predicament and your anguish. I have just one question for you. The Congress leadership decided to dump Captain Amrinder Singh. Although Captain Amrinder Singh won Punjab in 2017 at a time when the BJP was unstoppable. So my question to you is, the Congress leadership dumps a winning chief minister in his seat because they saw him as a potential liability at the time of the election. How come at the central level, when election after elections are being lost, Lok Sabha elections are being lost, the same principle does not apply?
Important question. Please answer that.
Yes, when we are talking about, let us say, some form of an internal strife or dissent that occurs, well, that's a healthy practice in a democracy. And when the party takes a decision, and if the decision does not turn out well, then always apprehensions are being
Sir,
raised.
apply the same yardstick is his question. Why are there different yardsticks for the leaders here at the center and those are the states?
If the verdict would have been different, we would have been uphailing this very decision that you are condemning right now.
No, but Mr. Jindal, Mr. Jindal, the entire effort seems to be able to make scapegoats out of those who are the in charges of these states. The Gandhis will not take responsibility. Only the state in charges have to.
What I'm saying over here is when such decisions are being made, every input is to be considered. It is not some form of a direct.
You're not answering my question. You're not answering my question, Mr. Jindal. I'm asking you a pointed question. Sanjay Jha has also asked you a pointed question. Why at the level of the states, when there are certain principles applied of accountability or of winnability, why does that not apply here at the center? That's a simple question they're asking. Can you please answer that?
See, when we are talking about the nature of functioning at the center, when we are talking about how the party president functions, party secretary functions, these are very different from appointing a chief ministerial candidate and the head of the
So there should be no accountability there.
No. What I'm saying, I never said that. I am saying, I insist there has to be accountability, there has to be responsibility, there has to be all forms of appraisals, audits done, and the organization must function efficiently. But putting one person into the blame box and putting everything, all responsibility upon him is not the way an organization functions.
Okay,
we are all working in organizations. We have seen how the organization.
Okay. I want Shekhar Iyer to come in now. Shekhar Iyer, this is not how an organization functions. This is not how accountability must be fixed through, various audits that have to be conducted, but you cannot compare the center and the states. Is there a duality in the Congress's approach at the moment? As you rightly said, of course, it's about a few people keeping power and control within themselves. But if things continue like this, there's a lot of concern. In fact, Sanjay Jha saying even Congress supporters raising questions as to what is happening with the party and its own existence in the future. Big question marks there.
Indeed, Madhav, from what I hear, a majority of the Congress workers would like Priyanka Gandhi to take charge completely and Rahul Gandhi to step aside. But since 2019, what we are seeing is Sonia Gandhi is perpetually in a waiting mode for Rahul Gandhi to return as Congress president. And Priyanka Gandhi would like to play a greater role, but then she would not like to disturb her brother. And in the meantime, Rahul Gandhi is taking his own sweet time and he feels, as if nothing has happened. In fact, many of the people, if you see, they all want to appear as if nothing has happened. Tomorrow, the parliament second part of the budget session will start. As usual, Congress will go about business as nothing has happened. And Twitter missiles will continue to fly in the direction they have been flying. So therefore, and also the many senior important leaders like DK Shivkumar, Ashok Gehlot, they do not want change because the change is inconvenient to redraw equations. After all, this is nothing new. But the unfortunate part is there is a great amount of anxiety and anguish and extreme desperation among the Congress leaders across the country. And many feel that something concrete should have been done. It's not about fixing responsibility. It's about, fixing, in a sense, fixing the total mess. But Congress is not ready. And unfortunately, the loyalists outnumber the people who are willing to speak out. Because all that the loyalists want is they are looking at the next Rajya Sabha nomination. That is why even many leaders who are in charge of states, they are also thinking where they will get their Rajya Sabha membership to be renewed. This is all they are bothered about, and they are not bothered about actually what is happening to the Congress, at least what the cadres are feeling. They keep talking about cadres, but they are not at all bothered.
Right.
And I'm afraid this is going to continue like this.
Sanjay Jha, in fact, Shekhar Iyer and Lokesh Jindal, I'd like to thank all three of you for joining us. In fact, what's happened, of course, in the CWC, as Sanjay Jha said, was rather on expected lines, but certainly what the future holds for the party. Can it, in fact, absorb the criticism and take action on the points that G23 and several leaders within the Congress have been raising? At this point of time, of course, it doesn't appear clear how that's going to happen, though there is a Chintan Shivir and there are organizational elections that are scheduled to happen. Perhaps we'll have to wait just a little longer to know what the future holds as far as the leadership of the Congress party is concerned. Thanks so much for joining us.